Hello crypto traders, in this video we're going to be taking a look at how the dollar's strength has led to a sell-off in assets including the cryptocurrency space, some altcoins getting more beat up than others, giving some decent oversold bounces, and we'll see where we stand bigger picture on Bitcoin and what the most important support level for me is, 9,800 and why. Stay tuned. Starting off with the dollar, we can see we had a successful daily trend change and significant, convincing follow through at this point, with a clear shift in momentum from bears back to bulls for the first time in a while, and that has led to weakness in metals, crypto, and stocks. So we'll take a look at where the cryptocurrency stands relevant to those other sectors or other assets, I should be saying. And here on the dollar, now that we have a successful daily trend change, we zoom out, we know we're looking for a weekly lower high to be set, anything under 97.80. But we are starting to create enough space where the bulls are going to attempt a weekly trend change once this move does top out. So we will be scouting for a weekly higher low compared to the 91.75 low that we have already hit. If the bulls are successful in changing the weekly trend heading into the end of 2020, the most important chart for me on the dollar will be the 6-month time frame, with every candle representing 6 months of time. That's a long time, and it's an equilibrium, which is why that is the clear setup that I'm watching if we get a convincing higher low set. So high of 103.82, low of 88.25, lower high just under 103, and now the bulls are trying for a higher low compared to 88.25, and if we successfully stay within this range, we could be talking about this range for another 2 years. It would be easy to form multiple candlesticks, which would be a year's worth of time within this tightening range. So the question over the next few weeks, probably next month plus, is this our higher low being set in this 4-year tightening range? So Bitcoin saw some weakness on the daily time frame with an inside bar bear break, but the bulls are fortunate here with a decent little bounce, and why they are fortunate is if we were tick for tick inverse to the dollar, we'd be under 9,800 right now. And we've seen the metals already respond the most significantly inverse to the dollar. They're dumping. Gold and silver, a bit of free fall right now and at multiple month lows. Cryptocurrency is in the middle of the road, and stocks are in the middle of the road a bit more after a bearish day yesterday. But we're watching to see, can the bulls maintain 9,800? This is the most important support level for me because there's two scenarios that I'm watching for in the intermediate and longer term future on Bitcoin. So there's 9,800. The two scenarios that I'm watching for are bull case number one, a monthly bull flag that's going to look for a break of 12,500 and potentially test 13,868, which is a very important level for me if this were a monthly bull flag. If this is going to be a monthly bull flag, 9,800 needs to hold as far as probability is concerned. Because if 9,800 holds, the probability of continuation is high. And this is still a bull flag. We're looking at this low and this high. And if I wanted to measure to be sure, is this a bull flag or not, I would use the fib tool and I would look at what size of retracement have we seen at this point. And if anything is above 382, we can say it's still possibly a bull flag, and we only pulled back about 30% or so. So still possibly a bull flag if 9,800 holds. As soon as 9,800 breaks, as long as there's a couple $100 of follow through, the probability needle shifts and it decreases the odds that this is a monthly bull flag. And from there, I'm zooming out to the 2-month time frame just to smooth things out a little bit. But we've been talking about this potential long-term equilibrium for a while. And if 9,800 breaks, the odds, the probability needle will increase that we are seeing a 2-month lower high being set and could potentially look to remain within this tightening range for another 6 to 12 months into 2021. We would look for a pullback. We would look for a higher low compared to 3,858. And then we would look for an eventual break, probably the second half of 2021. The more we pull back, the more likely that is going to take place. That's why 9,800 is so important for me here on Bitcoin. And if it breaks, it would also be a clear confirmation of a weekly downtrend. Best case scenario for the bulls, hold 9,800, break 11,180, which would be a save of support and then a break of resistance. And then the probability needle for the monthly bull flag would increase if we can get over 11,180. That pretty much summarizes as simply and as clearly as I can what I am watching for on Bitcoin for the next 6 to 12 months. The dominance chart has been correlated with the dollar. That being said, we're not convincingly over this 62 wall of resistance. We did just get over it yesterday, but just like that, we're back down under it. Clearly the price, it's not the price, but clearly the dominance has been struggling right around the 62 mark. So that's what we're watching from here. And at this point, it's a weekly bounce. So we need a weekly trend change back to the bulls for any kind of significant shift in momentum. But essentially what we are seeing here with the dominance chart going up on this pullback has been the altcoins are seeing profit taking and seeing an exit, I should say seeing a drop faster. And that makes sense because right now the higher risk spaces are seeing a little bit more fear. People getting a little bit protective again after we just got through a stock market euphoria phase. And now we're seeing people tighten their wallets up a little bit, so to speak. So it makes sense that the altcoins would see a little bit more of a pullback than Bitcoin itself. So ETH USD had a nice double bottom play last night, and we had 310 as support, and we held it by $3. So a great bottom fishing play. My ideal bottom fishing plays are when multiple RSI levels line up oversold. We had the 4-hour oversold, the hourly, 15-minute, 5-minute. All of our short-term time frames were oversold, testing that support level. That's my ideal kind of bottom fish. So we held it for now. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we know we need a trend change for the bulls to have convincing bounce follow through, but we've also seen a significant enough bounce that we've created a lot of space, and we'll be looking for a 4-hour higher low compared to 313, and we'll see if the bulls can change that 4-hour trend into and through tomorrow. Haven't topped out just yet. Have to lose the higher low every candle pattern to say that our top of the bounce is set, and then look for the higher low to then try and form. ETH BTC seeing a bounce as well. We had a daily equilibrium break bearish. We got a bit of follow through, and now it's trying to bounce. The daily downtrend is going to be our guide here, where anything under 3.6 is just a daily lower high. And as long as we are in a daily downtrend, we know the Bitcoin bulls have a bit of an advantage over the ETH bulls. And when the daily trend changes back to the ETH BTC bulls, that will change. But for the foreseeable future, just looking for a daily lower high compared to that level. Link USD has been pulling back very significantly. I made a trade attempt where I was looking for a weekly higher low and got stopped out because I was too early. Shout out to chart guys Toby, who was targeting 750 when we were back up at $10 and came right down into that range. We'd hit a low of 730 and a very significant bounce at this point as both the Bitcoin and US dollar pairing of Link are bouncing. So the weekly time frame technically still in an uptrend. Yes, a massive pullback, but we're looking for a weekly higher low to form, and then we'll look for a weekly lower high, but daily trend change will be needed to have any confidence that a weekly bounce is taking place. We'll be watching the daily 12-period exponential resistance, which rejected the last little bounce attempt. That's currently in the the upper $9 range. We have to change the 4-hour trend, just like ETH. Again, significant bounce, lots of space for a 4-hour higher low, but the trend has to change for us to believe that this bounce has followed through on the daily time frame. So all bulls that have seen solid 4-hour bounces over the last 16 hours have to change the 4-hour trend for us to be looking for that follow through. And if I'm a patient bull, I'm looking for an entry on that 4-hour higher low. Aggressive bulls are already in. They were scaling into weakness, a little bit braver. And the patient bulls are waiting for the higher low and using that recent low as our stop level. Because if that level breaks, then we're not going to change that 4-hour trend and the bulls will be wrong. And if that level holds and we change the trend, then it's a worthwhile trade for bulls. BNB USDT weekly chart still looking all right. We are looking for a weekly higher low compared to 1801. That being said, next time we bounce, we know we're just looking for a daily lower high compared to 2883. So the bulls have to change the daily trend back in their favor for the weekly uptrend to remain intact. First 4-hour oversold conditions at the low. Hasn't been a very significant bounce at this point, but the bulls are trying to establish a base of support in the lower 22s. Just have to be cautious because we saw the same thing back up around 26, and obviously that rolled over to another lower low. But keeping an eye on the names that do still have strong weekly uptrends, BNB is one of them, and NEO is the other. NEO USD, anything over, this is actually USDT, anything over 1586 is a weekly higher low. Same thing, daily trend has to change back to the bulls. We're just looking for a daily lower high on this bounce, and the bulls actually have to be cautious that this may be a bear flag right now, but the weekly uptrend will be our guide. And as long as the bulls can hold that weekly uptrend, they will have the spot at the head of the altcoin bulls table, if there is such a thing. Little note on Trader Pro alert system. So we have added some coins in the DeFi space. We've got UNI, YFI, YFII, DOT. You see all these names up here. So those are now on Binance. Then you can get alerts to those. Checking in on ETH USD, there's been some nice super stack signals on the 4-hour time frame, both overbought and oversold conditions. What I want to highlight here is the oversold conditions. We have to be cautious when we shift market environments because these bounces are not getting followed through. They're getting enough follow through to position ourselves. And it ties into my strategy as a stock trader. What I love to do when I'm playing oversold bounces in a stock is to make an entry, and then if the bounce starts playing out, I take partial position profit to lower the break-even point on my remaining position, and then just stick a stop under the low at that point. So just an example of that, of what I mean, 370 was this low here, and this alert fired off for 4-hour super stack oversold conditions right around 380 or so. So let's say I scale in at 380 when that alert goes off, and then we start the bounce and we get all the way up to 400. I'm going to take profit to protect myself because I know a lower high is the most likely scenario. So if I'm in at 380 and I sell half of my position at 390, my break even is 370, and that was our low. And I can put my stop level right there and have a risk-free position. And if we stop out, which would have ended up happening, I have zero risk and I can go back to trying to establish another position at a lower price, as opposed to being in, holding through a bounce, holding through another leg down. Next thing I know, I'm a bag holder and I'm completely out of control of the trade. So I find that by selling partial positions, it keeps me in control of the trade by keeping me comfortable. It also allocates half of my position back to cash again, gives me a lot more maneuverability with how I end up playing things. So we can see here on all these initial 4-hour super stack oversold bounces, we got solid bounces, but they did drop to lower lows. Here's our next most recent leg down. Again, here's another one that signaled. We bounced around that range, little bounces. Have to protect those positions. This position definitely a lot more comfortable at this point with the size of the bounce, but just wanted to highlight that when we change market conditions, which have clearly shifted from very bullish to bears taking control of the short term, we need to be cautious and use the alerts a little bit differently. A lot more confidence buying the oversold alerts when we are in monthly, weekly, daily uptrends than when we are in a bit more ambiguous, daily downtrend, but a weekly uptrend, but a monthly uptrend. So shift your game plans. UNI USDT, daily higher low has been set at 368. And now I'm watching for a tightening range and looking for a lower high compared to 860. That's the most important resistance level for me. And it's a little more tricky to trade names that have a lack of price history for obvious reasons. But 368 is the most important support, and we are looking for a lower high and tightening range compared to 860. The bulls really want to see this daily inside bar, if it does form here over the next 9 hours, break bullish, because if we form an inside bar and then it breaks bearish, this is a weak bounce, and it would favor the possibility or probability of another leg down. XRP USDT, bear flag on the weekly time frame, confirmed. LTCs in the same boat. We know if we are looking bearish in the cryptocurrency space, these names have performed very well for the bears, and that remains the case. Weekly downtrend, monthly downtrend, daily downtrend, 4-hour downtrend. You get the idea. The more time frames that are in your favor, the more confident and comfortable you are in those positions. XRP USDT, 4-hour exponential resistance, just looking for a lower high. But again, if you have every time frame in a downtrend, that's the way to be. We will be looking for a monthly high or low compared to 1690 as the more likely scenario, but there's a lot of space as to where that could form. So hope you are well. Stay protective out there, bulls. Bears are comfortable, and bears are going to be looking for the potential to reload on daily lower highs. Bitcoin has a lot of space where a daily lower high could form anywhere between here and 11,180. So bears are going to be patiently waiting for a potential re-entry opportunity, and bulls are hoping that 9,800 can hold. Appreciate your attention. Have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to do good things. I was close to climbing down in here and getting these big weeds out of there. I didn't know it was golden seal, which is a good pollinator. And at this time of year, there's not a ton of stuff that's pollinating. So nice to leave that around. There's a bunch of it just off the sides of the roads and a pretty prominent natural weed, but a good one to keep around. This is Sweetie's spot, overlooking Standing Guard. Checking in to show the trading station now, so adding some plants out here to the space in the sunroom, and this will be ideal in the spring and fall. In the summer it's pretty hot, and in the winter it's going to get chilly, although there is a heater already out here. So I got this standing desk, and it's electronic, where you push your button and it goes up. So that's good for the back, and got a new chair. Racing chair. This was less than $100. Certainly an upgrade for me from what I was previously using. Got a nice money tree. Got a little back massager that I throw onto my chair every now and again and get some back rubbing going. And it's got a nice view of the little waterfall and the bird feeder. And I watch a squirrel and a little chipmunk that lives nearby. He stuffs his fat cheeks every morning. So, finding my happy place to ensure that I'm in the right mindset for trading. And out here, I'm going to, over the winter, take out a section of that grass and put a bunch of perennial flowers and try and attract some pollinators. I did see the first hummingbird out here yesterday, so attract some more pollinators and birds, and also probably put a fig tree and some blueberries out there as well. I also got some snail friends from the internet. I'm gonna stick those into the little waterfall to try and combat some of the green and red algae in there. We'll see how that goes.